I'm here with
Ed from Plaid.
How do you pronounce it?
We say Plaid, but you can say Plaid if you like.
Apparently a lot of people do that.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those words that you can say either way, really. So.
You just performed here. The thing that struck me most is that I saw you before in Utrecht, and there you played your songs like I recognized them from the albums. And here you did completely different things. Like I recognized certain sounds and samples, etc. But the songs were completely different. Does it vary per show? How come?
Some tracks do. Some tracks stay in their very tight album form. They don't really vary that much at all. A lot of the material we played tonight is just live material, and it probably won't be anywhere apart from live. And there were a few sort of mixes we've worked on with people, and yeah, it was just a kind of a bit more of a mashup as opposed to just tracks from our albums. It was a bit more of a mix.
That's weird in a way. I remember like your big things like New Family. When I saw that in Utrecht, it was a one-on-one version of the album, and here I heard certain sounds of it, but not a complete track. When do you perform the one version and when the other?
Well, we sort of work in between gigs, so we just try and come up with. I mean, ideally, you'd like to play something completely different each gig, for your own sake, apart from anything, just to keep it interesting. And some people do, and I think if it suits your kind of music, if you're making music that's complex enough to vary all the time, then you can get away with it. But we write kind of quite structured pieces, so it's quite hard to vary it. But yeah, we'll keep working, and if we have new versions of things, we'll play it basically. So.
Okay. Does it also correlate with Bob Jarrock, if he's there or not?
Yeah, that does actually have an influence because he's made pieces of video specifically for certain tracks, and although we can kind of mix them up a bit, and it does restrict what we can do slightly, because he's not really a VJ in the sense that he'll just kind of produce visuals for an hour. He does set pieces. He does like a track basically. He does a version for each song. So yeah, it does restrict it, but in a good way sometimes. So I mean, when we do gigs with him, it's more structured.
Okay. Tekken Concrete. Why did it only appear in Japan?
That's a thing with Sony, really, more than anything. It came out on Sony in Japan, and it might possibly Warp will pick it up. We don't know. So it was Sony's choice. I don't know why.
It sounded like a complete fresh sound. Was it like was it simpler to make, or was it different to make because you some sort of reinvented yourself?
It was probably faster to make because normally we spend at least a year on an album, and this we didn't. We did in about 4 months, really, ultimately. And yeah, because it's got a film, it was simpler. It was less layers, less complex. But it was really enjoyable, and we were actually working on another film with the same director, and a different sort of palette of sounds, and a very different film. So yeah, I mean, it's a real thrill to work on films. Really, it's not something I'd want to replace doing albums, but it's. For us, it's still new, so it's still got the sort of thrill of.
So what will be next? A new soundtrack or a new album?
The new album. We've been working on a new album, but the soundtrack has kind of taken its place at the moment. So I don't reckon we'll have the album finished for a little bit. Probably by the autumn, September, October, we'll deliver the album. Yeah, and then it'll come out quite quick because. It's all internet stuff now, so yeah. And then a soundtrack album as well early next year, and another soundtrack album.
The new album, what's it going to be?
It's still taking shape really at the moment, but it's slightly different. We didn't really play. We played one track that might be on it tonight, and that was it. So it's it's slightly different. And we always say that every album we do, but. This one actually is a little bit different.
Last question, and maybe the Black Dog. How do you look at them at the moment?
I'm sort of glad that they're keeping the name going in some way, and it's always strange because when you kind of start something off and then to almost sort of be replaced by people is a bit odd. But I hear what they're doing is good, and they're